My name is Ken, but my friends call me Ken Dog, and I'm inviting you to join me as I travel down the Mother Road, Route 66.
All right, I stayed last night at the Boots Court here in Carthage, Missouri. Man, what a cute little place. It is very cute. Small rooms, but it's just me, so that's fine. I actually got room number one right up front, so it was really kind of cool. Got to park in one of the little garage areas. It was really neat. Quite the little room. I thought first when I walked in, I remembered that they don't have TVs here. But that's going to be weird. But they have a radio, just like their sign says, a radio in every room. They definitely had a radio, so that was kind of cool. Love the neon at night. Spectacular. Really looks good. It was a lot of fun. But it's a beautiful morning here in Carthage. I'm going to go check out the town a little bit before I hit the road, headed towards Tulsa today.
The Boots Court in Carthage, Missouri. Just check that out. I love how you can park close to your rooms. Now, it's not that way for all rooms. There's some at the far back where you can't. But that's really kind of cool how you can do that. And that's the whole point of a motor court. Really neat little place here. Of course, they got these things sitting around that always want to check out. But I needed to hit the road, so I fired up my GPS program. Yep, I'm using Route 66 navigation. Grabbed me a tall boy of caffeine because I knew I was going to need it. I was dragging again. It's not been the best the last couple days, not feeling too hot, but I'm going to make the most of it. And I was back out on the route, headed south. I had a ways to go and a lot of things I wanted to see that day, so I didn't make too many stops until I got to the other side of Carthage. But before that, I happened to notice I picked up a hitchhiker. Yeah, check this guy out. I honestly don't know how long that little guy held on. He was there for quite a while, I do know that. And I know that I just don't know how he did it, honestly, with that wind coming. I was doing probably about 55 at least, and he's just chilling, just hopping along for the ride up to my next stop, the Route 66 Drive-In Theater here in Carthage, Missouri. Now, it says it's open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It wasn't open the day I was there. They were closed because of a wedding, so no big deal. Totally understand that, but it was a bummer that I didn't get to catch a movie there, but I wanted to check it out, and it was closed to drive up to, which, as we'll see here in a moment, didn't stop some people. Yeah, that group actually stayed at the Boots Court last night. I saw them there several different times. They were staying in one of the rooms towards the back. And so I couldn't mistake those motorcycles, that's for sure. And I would run into them several more times the rest of this day. But kind of bummed I didn't get to see a movie, but it was time to hit the road again. You know, there is so much to see and take in when you do a trip like this that it is impossible to do it all. Unless, of course, you've got months to do it. So this was going to be one of those days where I needed to get some ground under me because of the last couple days were pretty short, you know, from Cuba, Missouri down to Springfield, Missouri, and then from Springfield down to Carthage. Those were pretty short days, honestly, especially that last one. And there's only one reason why I did that, and that was because in Springfield I wanted to stay at the Rail Haven because it is quite famous, you know, on Route 66. And then in Carthage, I wanted to spend a night at Boots Court and just check it out too. So the only way to do that was to have a couple shorter nights in a row there. So today it was taking me all the way down into Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I was going to go from Missouri into Kansas into Oklahoma. Now that seems like a lot. I mean, it is a decent amount because there is so much to see, but it isn't like ginormous distance, right? So Kansas only has like 13 miles of Route 66, and we'll get there here momentarily. But before that, we're going to cruise through the small little town here of Webb City. Yeah, I remember years ago when their Little League team from here Was in the Little League World Series. That's many, many years ago. I probably just dated myself there, right? If you remember that, drop a comment down below and let me know. Webb City is a really cool little town. I have not been there in years. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the last time I drove through Webb City, to be honest with you. Again, this is my first time doing Route 66. I'm sure I've been on parts of Route 66 through the years and just didn't know about it. But I don't really remember any of that, coming through. So headed into Joplin, Missouri now. I have been to Joplin too many times in my life to count, but never drove through on Route 66 as best I know. It was always the interstate and then the range line. So I was quite excited to get to explore Joplin on Route 66. I'm in Joplin, Missouri, and check out these murals. These are just awesome. Look at that. It's called Mural Park here in Joplin. Pretty cool. I couldn't help but notice that they don't give any love to the state of Kansas on that map. Notice it's not a different color, so that's kind of weird. Joplin to me is pretty much memory lane, right? Like I said, I've spent a lot of time there through the years, but there was something there that I didn't even know existed until I started thinking about this trip. So I wanted to go off the beaten path a little bit to go check it out, and that's this right here. This is the Bonnie and Clyde place, right? So this is where they holed up for like 13 days back in 1933. And then there was a shootout, and so if you look close in that gray concrete there, you could see where a bullet hit. After leaving Bonnie and Clyde's old apartment, it was time to drive back through the rest of Joplin, just looking at everything. Again, I've been here so many times that, I would think that there wouldn't be anything that I hadn't seen before, but really, I don't recognize most of this. So that was really kind of cool to get to check out these parts of Joplin that I've probably never been to be honest, since like I mentioned before, I'm used to being right off the interstate and through the main part of town on Range Line, where the mall is. I used to go to the movie theater there quite a bit. So getting to see other parts of it was really kind of cool. And then it was time to make my way towards the state of Kansas. Now, Kansas again has only 13.2 miles, I think it is, of Route 66 in it. And it's very interesting. And I love the way that they kick off Route 66 into the state of Kansas. Here at the state line, here at Hogs and Hot Rods, right out in front of it. Yeah, yellow brick road. Nothing signifies Kansas like a yellow brick road. First up in the state of Kansas is Galena. Galena, of course, this is if you're headed west, you'll hit Galena. If you're headed east, it's your last stop. But Galena does it right. I mean, they've got some really neat things to help you celebrate your trip on Route 66. Like this mileage sign. I tell you, I love a good mileage sign, so let's check this one out. The town of Galena has this really neat little area here where it leans into its connection to the show Cars. That great movie from back in the day, the animated movie Cars. Yeah, it's fantastic, and they really lean into that here with lots and lots of different cardboard cutouts. Like, look, there's Luigi. So yeah, it's pretty good. Look at the tractors tipped upside down. Let's check out a little bit more of this area. Yeah, I absolutely love this stop there in the town of Galena. There's a lot of great photo opportunities. Good place to sign your name, maybe leave your sticker, kind of like I did there. But just up the road from there is an even cooler stop. Let's go ahead and check that out now. I'm in Galena, Kansas at Cars on the Route. This place is really kind of cool. But what it's got that's really neat is that right there. That is the inspiration for Tow Mater from the movie Cars. And look at that. Tow Mater's sitting right next to him. If you love the movie Cars, this is definitely a stop that you're going to have to make. They even have a neat little plaque here that's kind of hard to read, honestly, but it talks a little bit about how they found this old tow truck and how he became Tow Mater. So that was really kind of cool, especially to have one right next to him. My understanding is that version of Tow Mater made its way to a concert by Larry the Cable Guy when he came through town, and I guess there was a lot of fun had with that. So let's take a closer look at him. Can't really see in too well. Yeah, this stop here in Galena was absolutely fantastic. Of course, I love the movie Cars. So to get to see some of the, characters from the show here, it was great. The gift shop wasn't open here. So that was kind of a bummer. But, that seems to be a theme for me on this trip. So I had to head my way into the town of Galena because we're just on the edge of it, right? We haven't even really gotten into Galena proper yet. So as we headed into town, you could see these old buildings. Oh my. I mean, again, the ghosts of these old paintings on the side here. Wonder what it was like back in the day. One thing I can say for sure was the last time I was through Galena, it really wasn't this, I don't know, clean, organized. Maybe it's because of what they did back in 2001, as this sign says here about this park. I don't know. Not that it was ever dumpy or anything. It was just a small town in the South, right? So it was really cool to get to see. And they've got another one here, an old service station that's built up. This is called Gearhead Curios. Yeah, it was closed. Of course it was closed, right? So I only got to check it out from the outside. My understanding is now they've really gone up a lot and got themselves at least one giant. I'm going to have to get back up there and check that out, but I didn't get the chance that day, which was kind of a bummer, but just look at it. That looks so cool. Galena, it's been fun, but it's time to hit the road. down towards Riverton. Riverton is another one of those small towns that I've been to a few times. Used to go to basketball games, watch our local high school play up there, so that was really kind of cool to get to see. They have a little store right here, this one that is really famous, but check it out. It was closed. Yep, the old Riverton store. So I got to plan my next trip better. Not to complain, but I really just do, that's for sure. But from there on down into the town of Baxter Springs was a neat little drive. And just outside of Baxter sits this, the Rainbow Curve Bridge. Let's check it out a little bit closer.
Just outside of Baxter Springs, Kansas, you'll find the Rainbow Arch Bridge.
The technical name is Rainbow Curve. We'll see that on a sign here in a little bit, but I grew up just south of here calling it the Rainbow Arch Bridge. So either way, it is what it is. It's been there for what seems like forever, and I wanted to spend a little time there. So I actually made a couple loops around as other people came up. Yeah, been there since 1923 over Brush Creek, like it says there. They've been doing a pretty good job to keep it up. So it's one of those things that I definitely remember seeing when I was younger as we would drive by, having no clue that that road right out there was Route 66. Probably didn't even know back then what Route 66 was, to be honest with you. It was just a way that we would go up to Joplin from northeast Oklahoma. So as I headed into Baxter Springs, checked out their Field of Dreams. I remember when that was built, really nice little League ballpark. And then it was on my way into town, and this is honestly where the memories start come flooding back to me. Having grown up in northeast Oklahoma, we spent a lot of times in Baxter Springs, Kansas. The first cow town in Kansas as it is. And so getting to see a lot of these places as part of this trip really brought things back. Now there's a lot of new shops like Sleepy Girls here. Wasn't there back then, right? But there's a lot of this town that is what it was when I was young, and it was very interesting to get to see because it has been years since I've driven through Baxter Springs. So that was really cool. I mean, again, I never knew what a Route 66 was when I was growing up, but evidently lived so close to it that I really wish I did so I could have enjoyed the history more. And I love all the new wall murals they have around. And check this out. That's the swimming pool I swam in as a kid back in the day. Man, it seemed so much bigger back then. But right next to it is this. Still don't know what it is, but look what we got on the backside here. Check it out. Yeah, that's the Bunyan Giant. Remember seeing him when we were in Atlanta, Illinois? But as you get through Baxter, it's a quick drive to the Oklahoma line. So here we are now in our third state. And this, East 20, used to be A Street. I would take it down to where I live, but this time we're following 66 into Quapaw. And yeah, Dallas's Dairy at another one of those famous places along the route. Been there many times when I was a kid. I like to say I grew up and out in this area, if you know what I'm saying. Lots of ice cream was ate there at Dallas's, that's for sure. But the drive through Quapaw, man, I never really got out there a whole lot as I got older because I lived in Pitcher. Pitcher is not actually on Route 66. It's just off of it a little ways, but it's a good side trip if you're interested. I did not do it on this trip, but I do have several photos from when I've done it over the last couple years. So let me show you some of them. As you can see, there's not much here. It is now a ghost town. On May 10th, 2008, it was hit by an EF4 tornado and just absolutely destroyed. This street that I'm showing here is where I grew up. Yeah, I mean, I used to climb these chat piles. These are leftover residue from the mines. This was the high school here. I actually went to the grade school just to the left of it. But I have memories of this town. Not all of them are good, that's for sure. I mean, there's some pretty bad ones, but a lot of really good memories. And it's very interesting to me that they put in this little park here where they have the old gorilla there. Once a gorilla, always a gorilla, right? And so he used to stand by the high school. Now he stands in this park. And they have some really cool little plaques here that explain what it means to be from Pitcher, Oklahoma, what it means as a miner there, a town that Jack built. It's a very interesting place, and I do suggest if you can, pause it here and read some of these if you can zoom in on it, because it's very interesting what they did here. But again, the town was hit by that tornado. I was actually in Nashville that night. We were supposed to be in Pitcher, but we decided to stay in Nashville for the weekend and go see Carrie Underwood get inducted at the Grand Ole Opry. And because of that, I was actually sitting there when my mama called to tell me that Pitcher had been hit by that tornado. Unfortunately, 6 people lost their lives that day, and Pitcher was never the same. Look at that old barrel up in the tree. It's been there ever since that tornado. This is a field we used to play ball in. Lots of memories in Pitcher, Oklahoma. But it was time to head back down Route 66 and over to Commerce, where a cousin of mine was actually running for mayor. I think he won, if I remember right. But Commerce, home of the Tigers, or better yet, home of the Commerce Comet, right? Mickey Mantle. You see it right there on the sign. And again, on the water tower, the pinstripes there, those Yankee pinstripes. There in Commerce. But most of the time we just drive through on our way to Miami, and we'll get to Miami eventually, but let's check out Commerce a little bit here. The Dairy King, that's right, King, very famous here in Commerce. I love the name of it. But here's this little gas station right here. It's a little hole-in-the-wall place. Yeah, it was actually our working gas station, so let's take a closer look at it. This is Allen's Conoco filling station here in Commerce, and it was built in like 1929. In 1938, it actually became a Phillips 66 station, but when they refurbed it, they set it back to its original roots as a Conoco. It's kind of neat, really small little place there, but not too far from it was something I wanted to see, something even as long as I have lived there, I never took the time to go see, so let's check that out. I'm in Commerce, Oklahoma. And that's the childhood home of Hall of Famer Mickey Mantle. They call him the Commerce Comet. Story goes, he used to warm up by throwing balls against that garage right over there. While not technically on Route 66, this is also a great stop. I really am shocked I've never been over there. As big a baseball fan as I am, and remembering the stories that my mama used to tell me about Mickey coming to town, you know, being the big Yankee that he was, it's really a surprise. I've never gone by his old house, but I finally got that chance, and getting to take a peek in was really kind of cool. As I mentioned, they told stories about him throwing balls against this old garage, and if you look close here, you can even see some dent marks in it. It makes me wonder, was that from him all those years ago? That was a great stop just for the history of it. And just up the way a little ways, back out on 66, sits his statue here. Yeah, the Commerce Comet. He was born in Spavinaw, Oklahoma, but raised in Commerce, graduated Commerce High School right over there back in 1949. And now he even has a minor league baseball team in Oklahoma City that's named after him, the Oklahoma City Comets. Headed on down the route, we're headed into Miami, past the Cuckoo. That's a great place for lunch if you ever get the chance. I did not stop. I had actually spent some time at the local cemetery visiting my mama's gravesite. So Miami was a quick drive through for me, honestly. I didn't want to get out. I didn't want to run into anybody that I might have known. So I just spent some time driving through very, very quickly. And then on the other side of town, you head out and make your way to this really cool spot here, right here. This is what's known as the Ribbon Road or the Sidewalk Highway. It is only 9 foot wide. You can see there between the white lines, 9 foot. That's it. Barely enough for a car to travel one way. Of course, they have widened it over the time, right? Putting gravel out there. But yeah, it was built in 1922. As Federal Highway Project number 8, running 15.46 miles from Miami to Afton, and this is the only remaining 9 foot section of the original pavement there of the old Route 66. and it was taken out of service in 1937. And as we can see, it is on the National Register of Historic Places, so that's really cool. So how about it? Let's go take a drive down that ribbon road, and this is where I'll end this video today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.